All right, Islam, how's everybody doing today?
Islam, feeling good, feeling good.
Islam.
Right.
Feeling good. Can't wait to eat.
Islam.
I hear you. All right, so we're about to get started. So just for the people that's new, we're gonna go over a lesson from the Holy Koran, which is prepared by Prophet Noble Drew Ali. If you have any questions, feel free to ask. Whatever's related to what we're speaking on. And then if you have questions in general, just about, anything, if it's not related to the what we're speaking on, feel free to ask after we finish the lesson. And we're about to go ahead and get started for the day. All meetings are to be opened and closed promptly according to the Circle 7 and love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. Everyone is able to please rise and face the east for the Moorish American prayer. We just ask that you stand up straight, and put your feet together, your heels together like in a V shape. So your feet are going to be at a 45-degree angle, and hold your arms out perpendicular, 2 fingers on the right, 5 on the left, and repeat after me. Allah, Father of the universe,
Father universe,
Father of love,
Father of love,
truth,
peace,
freedom, and justice. Allah is my protector,
Allah is my protector,
my guide, and my salvation, by night and by day, through his holy prophet, Drew Ali. Amen. Islamism. Now, we're going to go ahead and get started. I want to announce that the meeting is now open, but first and foremost, we always rise. We give the highest praise to the Most High, to the Father of the universe, Allah. We also give honors to our divine prophet, Noble Drew Ali, for bringing us our divine creed and nationality. We give honors to the forerunner to the prophet, Brother Marcus Mosiah Garvey, for preparing the way for him. We give honors to all the adepts and sheiks, all the faithful Moors that make up the grand body of the Moorish divine and national movement. We give honors to the first appointed Supreme Grand Sheik by the Prophet, and that's Brother Edward Millie Ill. And we also give honors to the current Supreme Grand Sheik, Brother Keith Dandridgel. In addition to that, honors to the Grand Council of the Moorish Science Temple of America, honors to all the Ills and Bays out there. Islamism. Brother Jackson Bey, would you please read the Divine Constitution and Bylaws?
I rise giving perfect praise to Allah and honors to his prophet that he sent us, Drew Ali, Islam to all the Muslims on the call, salvation, Allah, unity, the Moorish Science Temple of America, the Divine Constitution and Bylaws. Act 1. The Grand Sheik and the chairman of the Moorish Science Temple of America is empowered to make law and enforce law with the assistance of the Prophet and the grand body of the Moorish Science Temple of America. The assistant Grand Sheik is to assist the Grand Sheik in all affairs if he lives according to love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice, and it is known before the members of the Moorish Science Temple of America. Act 2. All meetings are to be open and closed promptly according to the Circle 7 and love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. Friday is our holy day of rest because on a Friday, the first man was formed in flesh, and on a Friday, the first man departed out of flesh and ascended unto his Father God Allah. For that cause, Friday is the holy day for all Muslims all over the world. Act 3, love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice must be proclaimed and practiced by all members of the Moorish Science Temple of America. No member is to put in danger or accuse falsely his brother or sister on any occasion at all that may harm his brother or sister, because Allah is love. Act 4, all members must preserve these holy and divine laws, and all members must obey the laws of the government, because by being a Moorish American, you are part and parcel of the government and must live the life accordingly. Act 5, this organization of the Moorish Science Temple of America is not to cause any confusion or to overthrow the laws and constitution of the said government, but to obey hereby. Act 6, with us, all members must proclaim their nationality. And we are teaching our people their nationality and their divine creed, that they may know that they are part and parcel of this said government, and know that they are not Negroes, colored folks, Black people, or Ethiopians, because these names were given to slaves by slaveholders in 1779 and lasted until 1865 during the time of slavery. But this is a new era of time now, and all men now must proclaim their free national name to be recognized by the government in which they live and the nations of the earth. This is the reason why Allah, the great God of the universe, ordained Noble Jew Ali, the prophet, to redeem his people from their sinful ways. The Moorish Americans are the descendants of the ancient Moabites who inhabited the northwestern and southwestern shores of Africa. Act 7, all members must promptly attend their meetings and become part and parcel of all uplifting acts of the Moorish Science Temple of America. Members must pay their dues and keep in line with all necessities of the Moorish Science Temple of America. Then you are entitled to the name of faithful. Husband, you must support your wife and children. Wife, you must obey your husband and you must obey your husband and take care of your children and look after the duties of your household. Sons and daughters must obey father and mother and be industrious and become part of the uplifting of fallen humanity. All Moorish Americans must keep their hearts and minds pure with love and their bodies clean with water. This divine covenant is from your holy prophet, Noble Jew Ali, through the guidance of his father, God Allah. Noble Jew Ali, founder, Moorish American prayer, Allah, the Father of the universe, the Father of love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. Allah is my protector, my guide, my salvation, and my salvation by night and by day through his holy prophet, Jew Ali. Amen. The Moorish Science Temple of America, Home Office of Noble Jew Ali, Home Office, Chicago, Illinois, USA. Islam, Islam, Islamism.
Islamism. Thank you, Brother Jackson Bey. Now, we're going to get started today with our Quran lesson. But before we do that, I just want to just touch on something that the brother just spoke on. Right here in our Divine Constitution and Bylaws in Act 2, what he was reading, it said, all meetings are to be open and closed promptly according to the Circle 7 in love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. And then it says Friday is our holy day of rest, because on a Friday, the first man was formed in the flesh. And then on a Friday, the first man departed out of the flesh and ascended unto his father, God Allah. For that cause, Friday is the holy day for Muslims all over the world. And just really quickly to share something on that, we speak on that often here, but only because, I want to make sure that we all understand that. And for those that are new, this may be new information to you as well. But as it said, on a Friday is the day that we meet, and that's the 6th day of the week, right? Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. Friday's the 6th day, counting from Sunday, okay? And so it says that's the day that man came into the flesh, and then also the day that he departed out of the flesh. And this is ancient wisdom that's being returned to us, ancient customs that are being returned to us, but these customs are steeped in the wisdom of our ancestors, the creators of civilization. And so what you see on the screen is symbols of the Kabbalah tree of life, right? They're both the same on both sides, just different ways of representing it. And if you look on either one of them, you'll see the spears are numbered from the top, right? With the first one being higher or closer to the creator, to the universal mind, whatever you want to call it. We call it Allah, but as Moors, we understand we're the creators of civilization, so we're not caught up in names. We recognize it all. We respect it all, and we can do that. So the higher up, you get in the spears, like 1 all the way up here, you're going higher up into the higher realms, higher vibrations, closer and closer to the source. And this would be the spirit realm. And then when you go down, you're getting closer to the realm that we're in now. Okay, the 6th spear is the 6th day, the Tefereth. This is where we are right now as man, not gender specific, as humans, right? This is where we're at right now, because humans are actually in between the spirit, the soul plane, and the physical world. The further down you get, all the way down to the bottom 10, where it says Malkuth, that's deeply rooted, in the earth. And so man is truth and falsehood strangely mixed, right? We have the ability as sentient beings to tap in to the creator within, right? And so we're in between those realms. And so when we say we meet on the sixth day, Friday is our holy day, right? That's why we're meeting right now. It's not just something that we just do just to be doing stuff. All right. These are ancient customs that were returned to us by a prophet who was ordained by Allah, okay, to help to uplift our people, or to give us the tools and the blueprint so that we could uplift ourselves. All right, so this is returned to us in this ancient, and that's why we hold to the holy day. This is the Tefrith. This is whatever you want to call it. We understand this is where we're at right now. This is where we came into the flesh, and also where we will ascend back to Allah. Okay, and so that's why we do that on the sixth day. Just wanted to share that real quick, and we're going to go ahead and move on into our lesson. Also, I see we have some new people, so I'm not sure where everybody's understanding of this is, but we're reading from this book right here. And you see, that's the Holy Koran of the Moorish Science Temple of America, divinely prepared by Prophet Noble Drew Ali. He published this, put this out in 1928, okay? And he was dealing with high up ancient wisdom or spiritual wisdom, as well as instructions in how to correct or our physical, situation that we're in. All right. And on here, you see the circle 7. The circle 7 represents the symbol of perfection. 7 is the number of perfection. All right. It symbolizes both man and creation in its perfected state. The circle, as you can see on here, is divided into 4 arcs. And that's a reminder that perfection on this level cannot be reached until man has conquered all the foes or all the vices on the plane of manifest and the plane of soul. All right. In the Holy Quran of Mecca, in Surah 7, let me see, Surah, hang on. All right, there we go. Holy Quran of Mecca, Surah 7, verses 17, it says, when the circle has been closed, man will have reached the state of the perfected word in manifest, the logos, the God-man. Okay? All right. And so this is where we're dealing with information, wisdom that has been given to us, returned to us in the end times, which we are in right now, which is why Allah sent us a prophet to escape the wrath that is coming, or that is sure to come. And that's why we're here. And that's why we're about to read the Quran right now. We're in chapter 3. And I'm going to pull that up on the screen for you. So as we go through this, if you have any questions related to what we're speaking on, feel free to speak up. If you want to add anything at all, feel free to speak. When we finish the lesson, it's short. Then it's just open floor. Whatever questions you have, or anything you want to speak on, be free to speak on that. All right. With chapter 3, like the chapters 2 through 19 of the Quran are speaking on the life and the works of Jesus, and it's basically this was the method that the prophet used, Prophet Noble Drew Ali used to help to awaken our people, right? It's necessary because there was a misconception about the life of Jesus and the works that he did that keep us collectively wondering, just aimlessly, and they keep us as perpetual servants to the institutions of slavery. And just the way that, I'm not knocking Christianity, but just the way that it's given to us, right? They give us the Holy Trinity, and it's leaving out the woman, right? It's, for us, the family is where the nation starts. The family is holy and divine. So they're leaving that out. They're giving you the Father and the Son and the Holy Ghost, right? And it's like, where's the mother? That just seems like common sense, so this is being returned to us. And so in here also, we're, one of the first things in the lesson that we were on yesterday, it was talking about the mother of Jesus and the mother of John the Baptist. and how basically Jesus and John the Baptist are getting initiated into the sacred brotherhood, right? So that they can get ready for this great task that they have to help come teach man and show man how to connect to God within, the God man. And the mothers of both of these people have to be initiated in as well and taught and raised up so that they can raise these, these great men to do their job. Okay. And so when they're like leaving that out, just the Holy Ghost, putting a whole nother name on it, they're, kind of giving you half of the story, and it's stunning your growth because, this is what we're given. Most of us, right? We're born into like families and people that are Christians, even if they're not going to church, that's what they consider themselves. So it's like stunning our growth and our potential because we're working with only half the story or only a portion of what can really truly uplift us, and it keeps us out of balance. All right. And so we're here to restore that. Okay. And so we're going to read chapter 3. Chapter 3 is Elihu's lessons on the unity of life. And then one thing too, real quick, also, all right. Can everybody see that? Yeah. We advise people to look into the metaphysical Bible dictionary. Is huge, very big, but it can help you to understand all of the holy books, excuse me, sorry about that, especially the ones based off the Abrahamic religions. So, Judaism, Christianity, Islam, it's going to do a great deal in as far as unveiling the true lessons in the Bible. Whenever you're reading something like the Quran, the Bible, the Torah, any of these things, on one hand, okay, they're telling a story, but on the other hand, they're telling a universal story that applies to everyone, because everything in there, whether it's a mountain, whether it's a human, a foe, a friend, whatever, it's talking about you, and it's talking about different states within your mind, and it's giving you tools on how to tap into the power within, on how to create your reality. All right. And so it helps to have tools like that so that you can gain a proper understanding on what you are really reading. What is this really teaching you? Okay, what is this really trying to say to you? Because if we're looking at these as like some stories that happened thousands of years ago, like 2,000 years ago or whatever, it's not really applicable. It doesn't really, hold any weight. But when you're looking at it like this and understanding that these are all lessons, okay, they have deeper meanings, now you can gain insight into it and apply it to your life. And just with this chapter 3, Elihu's lessons, the unity of life, you're looking up Elihu. Elihu means my God is that which is. My God is he. It also means from a metaphysical perspective, let's see, Elihu is going to represent the strength of Allah, I believe. Hang on, it should be representing the strength of God. Okay, yeah. All right, so Elihu from a metaphysical perspective, is going to be dealing with, the name Elihu signifies the recognition by man that his true inner self is spirit. Okay, so that lets you know right away, like the chapter is Elihu's lessons, the unity of life. And if you know that the name, is actually letting you know that this is the recognition by man that his true inner self is spirit, this is letting you know, okay, something's being learned here. He's learning that he's not just the body, right? His true nature is spirit. His true inner self is spirit. The spirit is one with Allah, one with God. Okay. And so that's right there in the name. And so when you see that, that sets the tone, that lets you know what this is about to be about without even reading the chapter. Okay. And so with that perspective in mind, we're going to go ahead and start chapter 3, verse 1. Again, Elihu met his pupils in the sacred grove and said, "No man lives unto himself, for every living thing is bound by cords to every other living thing." Okay, so once again, that mindset, you already know Elihu is letting you know about your true nature. Your true nature is spirit man, right? And so he's explaining, this is explaining how that is so, right? You're connected to everything. Everything is connected. Every blade of grass, in some of these things, like, it sounds simple just to say it, but the reality of it is so incomprehensible. I don't know if anyone's ever done like meditation and, done things like open your third eye consciously and felt the connection, to everything in existence. This is real. This is realer than anything that we're dealing with right now. Any problems that we're going through, anything that we can even imagine or conceive of in our present day reality. This is the true reality, is that we are connected to everything, literally. Okay? And so this is trying to explain that to you. The true nature, all right, is that you are a spirit, not the body, and that you are connected to everything. All right? And so going to be continuing. All right. So no man lives unto himself. You're not alone. For every living thing is bound by cords to every other living thing. Blessed are the pure in heart, for they will love and not demand love in return. They will not do to other men what they would not have other men do unto them. There are two selves, okay? The higher self and the lower self. The higher self is human spirit, clothed with soul, made in the form of Allah. So this is letting you know too that the soul and the spirit are not the same thing, right? That the spirit is actually something that's connected to the universal mind, to Allah, and that it developed a soul to take on a singular personality, right? That would become a person, a human. Okay, so there's a spirit. You're a multi-dimensional being, right? You exist on the spirit plane. You have a body that probably looks like this. That's in the soul plane, right? A soul, and then you have a physical body, right? And it's saying that it's all made in the form of Allah. The lower self, the carnal self, the body of desires is a reflection of the higher self, distorted by the murky ethers of the flesh, right? So we're made in the form of Allah. We resemble Allah, right? Even in the physical form, but it's distorted, right? It's also twisted. And it's specifically formed to experience life, right, in the physical world. And so it developed its own consciousness to protect itself. So the lower self is an illusion and will pass away. The higher self is Allah and man and will not pass away, right? It's one with Allah. It's Allah and man. The higher self is the embodiment of truth. The lower self is truth reversed, and so is falsehood manifest. And seeing as how it's Allah and man, you always have the answer to any problem or anything that you have within yourself. Okay, and this is also why, like, we have so many distractions and things that we're being bombarded with, things put into the food and the environment, to keep us from going within. All right, because by quieting the mind, by quieting the thoughts and things that are coming in and shutting out distractions, going within, this is how you can tap into Allah within. This is how you can get the answers or the direction that you need to go into or to solve any problems, anything that you are dealing with. The answer is always within. The higher self is justice, mercy, love, and right. The lower self is what the higher self is not. The lower self breeds hatred, slander, lewdness, murder, theft, and everything that harms. The higher self is mother of the virtues and the harmonies of life. The lower self is rich in promises, but poor in blessedness and peace, and it offers pleasure, joy, and satisfying gain, but gives unrest, misery, and death. Right. Hang on one second.
Islam. First and foremost, I'd like to rise and give praise to Allah, honors to His Prophet Noble Drew Ali, and honors to all you Moors in attendance. I just wanted to add to what you were saying earlier about how they left out the mother, and right here, it kind of ties us back in, because where it says on verse 11, the higher self is the mother of virtues and the harmonies of life. And if we look on the 101s, you see Noble Drew Ali carrying the Moabitess out of the cares and worries of the world. The Moabitess represents the mother. He's bringing us back in to the Holy Trinity, Islam.
Right, Islam. Thank you for sharing that. All right, that's right and exact. Okay, so I mean, you can see just from how we're reading this, all of the issues and struggles that we have are coming from the lower self. And the lower self, you know, could also be seen as like the body consciousness, because the body is alive, right? And the body was created so that you could experience life here in the physical world, right? It's like a suit that we wear, like a space suit. And it has a consciousness as well to protect itself, right? And so out of that consciousness of protecting itself, it developed a whole, you know, intellect of its own that, you know, seeks out pleasure, right? The things that it might be looking for might not be in your best interest. They might not be spiritually aligned with what is right, okay? And so it gets to the point where it's gone all the way left and it's out of control now, because most of us just dwell in the body consciousness, purely in the body consciousness. And that's what this lesson is about, at least advising, letting people know, making people aware there's a higher nature. Allah, the creator, is within you, okay? So you're not all of everything that we're bombarded with, right? Didn't Beyonce just put out a remix to the song Savage or whatever? I don't know, you know, something about being savage. And then Meg Thee Stallion talking about being savage. And so they're pushing that right now. And what's going on in the world right now, right? All of this stuff is going on, you know, the coronavirus and all of these things that are happening. The Pentagon just put out the videos of the UFOs. I mean, like, all of this, really a lot going on. Bill Gates is trying to block out the sun, right? You know, they're trying to vaccinate us all. All of this stuff is happening, okay? They're pushing really hard. And when I hate saying they, because it's like, who is they? Well, we have a couple examples, Bill Gates and some of these people that are like, almost like the face of evil, right there. They literally, I mean, like on our last call, you know, I showed the news article where Bill Gates was talking about how they want to put chemicals and particles in the air, you know, using the planes so that they can begin to block out the sun. And also they didn't tell all the reasons, right? But he was basically talking about chemtrails, something that's been going on for a while, but they're just now talking about it because it's all after the fact. You can't do nothing about it. But the reason I'm saying this is because they're pushing so hard. They're doing all of these things. Why are they doing all of this? Okay? To keep you from rising up, to slow you down, to keep you grounded in the physical realm, in the lower self. Okay? That's what it's all about. Okay? And the people who are doing that, obviously they're stuck in the lower self. Maybe that's all that they are. I don't know. But they want to keep us grounded, you know? They don't want you connecting to Allah within. And so that's how come, yeah, they'll get these Asiatic women and men, you know, to rap and sing about this stuff, and they'll push it, put millions behind it to make sure that this is getting promoted to the world. We want the world to sing this, right? So they actually, and it's crazy. I mean, like, these literally are the last days. This is it. And when I'm saying the last days, not for us, it's time for this world of falsehood to come down. It's time for us to rise up, and nobody can do anything about that. They know they can't stop it. All they can do is slow it down. And so it's amazing. Like, if you understand what's going on, that they're actually pushing songs, you know, whatever the songs are called. All I know is they're talking about being savage, and they're pushing it hard. And they have 2 Asiatic women doing it, and it's a big deal. So we're a big deal, and they're doing all this to keep you in. What's savage? From what we're reading, the lower self is savage. It's stuck in savagery. It's just the body. It's just the body. It passes away, right? We just read that up here, right? Allah and man, the higher self, cannot pass away. It will not pass away. But the lower self is an illusion, and it will. And so they want you stuck in that mindset, okay? Even though you come here with a greater purpose, they want you stuck in that mindset so that you don't reach it, so that you can't reach your true potential, all right? And we know as Muslims, as Moorish Muslims, with Islam, we know that what we believe is that every man, you know, every man, woman, no gender specific, has the perfect capacity, all right, for the unlimited capacity to reach their potential, their highest potential. And we believe that we all have this, okay? So we don't have these limits, all right? And this is what they're trying to prevent us from doing. And so this is heavy because our suffering is only built off of us and our mindset. So the biggest attacks are on our mind. You know, it's all about the mind, because all is mind. So they're trying to control how we think, how we view ourselves, and how we act, and our thoughts. Okay. And so, but we teach that man is born with unlimited capacities for progress. Okay. And also, I might as well read this too. Is from What is Islam by the Prophet Noble Drew Ali. Islam teaches that man is born with unlimited capacities for progress. Islam does not support the idea that man is born in sin. It teaches that everyone has within him the seed of perfect development, and it rests solely with himself to make or mar his fortune. All right. And what do they teach you in Christianity, right? Of original sin. Everyone's born in sin because of something that Adam and Eve did, right? And we believe, no, that's not what we practice. We know better. All right. And so they want to keep us stuck in that cycle. And it's a cycle of death. Like it says here, misery and death. The lower self is rich in promises, but poor in blessedness and peace. It offers pleasure and joy and satisfying gain, but gives unrest, misery, and death. So they got Beyonce and what's her name, Meg Thee Stallion, you know, twerking, whatever they doing, and then they just talking about being savage, keeping you stuck in misery and death. Following that will lead to misery and death, right? If you out here acting savage and following their example, you're gonna wind up, you know, in a messed up situation. Like maybe you have like 15 baby daddies or something like that. You know, you're just living a miserable life. And this is what they want us stuck in when we have higher potential. So moving on, it gives men apples that are lovely to the eye and pleasant to the smell, but their cores are full of bitterness and gall, right? They look appealing, but you're rotten to the core. You're savage. It's cool to be savage now. If you would ask me what to study, I would say yourselves. And when you have have studied them, and then would ask me what to study next, I will reply again, yourselves. He who knows well his lower self knows the illusions of the world. So we're not shunning it, but you need to understand it, understand its nature, and then understand your true place. You're not supposed to be stuck in that consciousness of that's all you are is the body, gratify, you know, desires and, you know, of the body, and that's it. You know, that's going to lead to all types of problems, right? Okay? And the life that's out of control. All right? So he who knows well, but you have to understand it so that you can know your rightful place. The higher self is to be sitting on the throne and ruling. So you're commanding the lower self. You're in control. And it's working for you, not against you. So he who knows well his lower self knows the illusions of the world, knows of the things that will pass away. And he knows, who knows his higher self, knows Allah, knows well the things that cannot pass away. Thrice blessed is the man who has made purity and love his very own. He has been ransomed from the perils of the lower self and is himself his higher self. Men seek salvation from an evil that they deem a living monster of the netherworld, and they have gods that are but demons in disguise, all powerful yet full of jealousy and hate and lust. All right, and we see that, in some of the other people's other gods. They give their gods human traits, right? Because everyone's portion is all that they perceive of as God, right? From their perspective. Whose favors must be bought with costly sacrifices of fruits and of the lives of birds and animals and humankind, right? Making sacrifices to the gods. This evil is a myth. These gods are made of air and clothed with the shadow of a thought. The only devil, ultimately all is mine. All is mine. So you don't need to make sacrifices and do all of this stuff. The only devil from which man must be redeemed is self, the lower self. If man must find his devil, he must look within. His name is self. If man would find his savior, he must look within. And when the demon self has been dethroned, the savior, love will be exalted to the throne of power. So once again, we have to seek the higher self in control, right? We must dwell in the higher self and think from that perspective. The David of the light is purity, who slays the strong Goliath of the dark and seats the savior love upon the throne. Islam. If anyone, has any questions or anything that they wanted to add to that measure, feel free to speak up now.
Islam, I just wanted to re-emphasize what Sister Douglas L said about how the prophet brings us back to the Trinity. But even though we understand that Allah is one, but we see the triune Allah, love, wisdom, and will right here fleshed out, because you have the higher self, which is the mother, all right? And that would be perceived as the feminine aspect of Allah. And Allah himself, we read in chapter 1 that Allah is the husbandman to everything that is. And then we also know that another word for these two, for this, is truth, and another word for that, which would be holy breath. So the mother, the father, and the spirit is all in one. You feel me? And that's why I was, one of the major points. And that's why I just wanted to re-emphasize the way we see the Holy Trinity and how the oneness with Allah. And that's it, Islam.
Islam, thank you for sharing that. Man, you right on, right in exact. And yeah, we're leaving out the mother, that's a big deal, because that forming our mindset, how we think and approach things, and it's it's keeping us out of balance, right? And out of balance naturally, because that's just natural. It makes sense, mother, father, and son. Like what, I always thought that was weird, growing up. Like what is the Holy Ghost? Why isn't it a mother, father, and son? That's what it's supposed to be, right? That's what everything is built off of. That's why the prophet is uplifting the woman on the cover of the Holy Koran, lifting humanity out of the cares of the world, So that's how you uplift the higher self, right? And if not, then you're trapped. You're stuck in this cycle of death. Islam. So does anybody else have any questions or anything they wanted to add about that chapter? Okay, I'm gonna real quick go over some stuff from the census, right? Like basically just gonna speak on our instructions from the temple on the census, and just show you guys mine real quick, because ours came and we filled it out. But gonna speak on that and just open the floor up to questions. Okay, so really quickly, I'll just hold this up. Okay, so yeah, if anyone's new to this, just hang on. This should make sense. Well, I'll start back here. Okay, for the most part, all right, we have instructions for filling out the census. Looks like everybody's getting theirs in the mail. So if you haven't gotten it, we advise people first to fill it off, fill out the physical one. Don't do it online. You can, but if you do, print it out, make a copy. But we advise everyone to fill out a paper copy. So if you don't respond, they'll just send you a paper copy eventually. Okay, and we advise everyone not to check the black box, and there's a reason for that. Okay, the term Black, African American, these are all terms that have been created by the Europeans, and they started this a long time ago, like in the 1700s. They started putting laws and actual laws into place, defining what this thing that they created called the Negro was, right? It wasn't who we were. We weren't calling ourselves Negroes at any point in time. This is something that they created and defined, right? And so even if somebody was calling themselves a Negro, this isn't what it meant. So they defined it, okay? And they basically made it as something like, I'll use this since it's up on the screen, the Negro Law from 1740, and it's showing how basically the Negro is a permanent slave. All right, in this section 1, it says the act declares all Negroes and Indians, because they were easing us from the Indian label into Negro. Because when they first came here, the Indians were all dark-skinned people, or at least the vast majority, like 99% of them. Okay. Islam. All right. When the Europeans first arrived here, the vast majority of the people they met in Americas were dark-skinned people, us, so-called African Americans, and they started to make acts and laws later on to define them, to put them into a category, which denoted to something that was from Africa. So first off, it was two-pronged. One was to remove us from our birthright. So they immediately wanted to take you out of the land where you were born, where you had rights to, and place you somewhere else. They didn't say you were from Nigeria, from from Benin or anything. They just said a continent.
And are you good enough?
Oh yeah, I'm on. Oh, well,
right. So they just placed us in a continent somewhere. And then the other thing is to control who they are. So they removed us also from the family of humans, which made us not have any rights. And since they defined it and created it, that made them your creator. That made them your God. Or at least that made them your custodians, like they're in control of you. They speak for you because you can't speak for yourself. They immediately started deeming us savages. This was done even before that, going back into the 1400s with the various popes. They would always make these decrees, like Pope Nicholas V issued the Papal Bull decree, right? And they would back then they weren't calling us Negroes yet. They were calling us Moors. Saracens means Moor. Okay, so they would make decrees basically declaring any Moors that they came across, whether it was in the continent of Africa or the Americas, anywhere they encountered us, they would deem us savages. All right, and this was a work in progress, but they were basically deeming us savages that had no civilization, no religion, no anything of our own. All right, and so this is how they place themselves in a position superior to us. So here, going back to this Negro Law 1740, the term Negroes confined to slave Africans, the ancient Berbers and their descendants, and then it says it does not embrace the free inhabitants of Africa, such as the Egyptians, Moors, or the Negro Asiatics, such as the Lascars. Okay, and so when you're looking at that, this is just one of several laws. There's several black codes and laws that are saying the same thing, that basically the Negro is just something from Africa, okay, and that they can't really speak for themselves. They are slave Africans. That's it. It's confined to slave Africans. Like there's nothing else that they can be. They can't be free. And I mean, you can give them freedom, but they're your slaves. It's yours to give or take. They're not, endowed those rights by, their God-given rights. Right? Like, for example, thanks to this person who put their information in the chat. So they're not, given rights like the rights in the Constitution, that all men are created equal. All men are free. All men are created equal. They don't fall up under that. Okay? Because they're not part of the human family. They're Negroes from Africa. They're slave Africans. So other Africans, they have a nationality, a descent, a civilization. They don't fall up under that, right? Because they're civilized. They know who they are. So this is specifically for taking advantage of those here in the Americas, specifically in North America, in the United States of America. All right. And so, no, you don't, under any circumstances, want to go along with the term Black or African American. And I'll show you why really quickly, because that still deludes to this same thing that I showed you with the Negro Act. It still means slave. This thing that's on the screen showing this SF 181 form, it's a government form. There's this thing called Federal Directive 15, where the government created it to classify all the different ethnic groups. They say different races, but different ethnic groups. And as you can see on here, Black is the only one on here that doesn't come from an original people. Like literally everything on here is listed. White comes from original people of Europe, Middle East, or North Africa, right? Everything on here comes from an original people of somewhere except for Black. Black is the only one. Okay, so it's still, they can't use the same wording that they could use in the 1700s and the 1800s, where they just literally tell you Negro means a slave African. Okay, they can't talk like that now. They had to update it and make it more politically correct. And so now it's just something that'll slip right past those Negroes because they're stupid. They don't read. Black African Americans, a person having origins in any of the Black racial groups of Africa. But everybody else is an original people, though. And, people were sharing that video of the brother who was just jogging, and some two European dudes just decided to gun him down and kill him. And the police aren't even filing any charges, right? They're not going to. It's not the first time this happened. Just a few years ago, because people get lulled back to sleep. Just a few years ago, this boy, I think his name was Tamir Rice. He was here in Ohio. He got gunned down while he was playing outside, and think he had a BB gun. Okay, but the thing is, the police just pulled up and shot him. I saw the video. They did it in a matter of seconds. Then, it was just terrible, right? And so then we have other instances where the people aren't even holding weapons or any type of anything, and they just get gunned. It's going to keep happening. It's not going to stop. It doesn't matter how much they complain. Doesn't matter how much the people protest or any of that, because they're still doing it under a label that was created for your abuse. It was created specifically to abuse you and to keep you out of your true rights to the land. This is ours. And so they got you disconnected from that. And so there's no reason to go along with that. And then you can't fight from that label because they're your creator. They're your God. It's just like if you're still a Christian, they're your God, and they gave you a religion. We're going to give them a religion since they don't have one. That's how they show it. And I've actually seen, like, there was this video where there was a lady, an Asiatic woman, and she's in the church, and she's up there talking to a congregation, meaning she's a leader, and she's telling them that we should be thankful for slavery, because if not, we wouldn't know about Jesus. We wouldn't have any religion, And then she was an older lady, and it sucks because that's the mentality that a lot of people have, but also that's the mentality you're supposed to have if you're African American or Black, because this was created for your abuse. The way that we grow up, everything is brought up to keep us in this servile position where our neighborhoods, our communities, everyone else can come in there and get money and own businesses except us. Like, we're here to be getting abused, gunned down, you know, just taken advantage of. Okay. And I'm going to pause real quick for the sister that asked in the chat, how do you determine if you use a L or a Bay? Okay. That's your choice. And the reason it's your choice is because you're making you're reconnecting to your ancient ancestry, right? You're reconnecting to who you are. At this point in time, all of it's within us. So it's your choice. The L's, for the most part, are people who feel more inclined towards the, I guess you could say, like the lawmaking portion of our society, like the lawmakers. All right. And the Bays would be more so the law enforcers, or the ones who are putting the law into action. So the L's are kind of like the creative side, and the Bays are kind of like the ones who are carrying it out. And that's one way to look at it. Does anybody else, any other members want to add to that?
Islam, I just thought about this. The Bays is like, I would say, the law, right? And the L's is like the higher self. The same thing, right? But two different, because it says the mother of virtue. So that's a creative force, right? And Allah, we know Allah, he's the enforcer. He makes sure he makes things happen. He creates stuff. You know what I mean? So that's just, that just popped in my head, literally. I don't know if that's a good way to put it or whatever, but just looking at the two different aspects of Allah, even though Allah is one, just the male and the feminine, you feel what I'm saying? Not the male and feminine, but the creative and then the executing, you know what I mean? Islam.
All right, Islam, thank you. So let us know if you need like more clarification. But you know, I think that hopefully that makes sense. The L's kind of the creative side, and the Bays are kind of like the ones who are actually carrying it out in the physical. And so since you're reestablishing the link, it's up to you to pick. And you just pick which one you're gonna add to your surname. And yeah, we'll put that on your nationality card and everything when you send in your paperwork. Okay. So yeah, if anyone else in there also had that question, hopefully that makes sense to you too. Like when you join, since you're reestablishing the link, you choose which noble title you're gonna add to your family name. We don't advise people to change like your whole name. I don't teach that your name is a slave name, because you know, first off, the slave name is the label Black, right? African American, Black, colored, Negro. These, like, they change our names every 20 years. Who goes through this, right? We're still slaves. We are still their children. Like, literally, like, they're our custodians. Okay? It's like back in the days, okay, in Tulsa, Oklahoma, right? A lot of y'all probably heard of Black Wall Street. You had a lot of our people who were dark-skinned, would be classified as Black today, who had their tribal ties to whatever you could say Native American tribe they came from. And so they used that link to get access to land. All right. And so they had land rights, and some of them, like, and they were in Oklahoma, there was oil found on their land. So you had a whole bunch of our people who were coming into all this money, all right, because they had the land rights. And so the people who found the oil, whatever, they would come and they were getting royalties and stuff for everything that was on their property. And so you had a bunch of like European people trying to come in and marry them and hook up with them and find ways to get in and get that money. And so you had like children too, because, you know, especially when you had instances like race riots, like Tulsa, where they were coming in and killing people, you had people that were orphaned for whatever reason, and they were children. And so they were just left out there when they had all this money coming in, right? And their children, they don't know what to do with it. And then like Europeans just coming out the woodworks to, you know, to adopt them or whatever and be their caretakers, okay? And then that's how they got access to the land and the money and everything, okay? And the children now are up under them, and they're like, getting abused and taken advantage of. And, you know, that's kind of what's happening to us as a whole, you know, especially like, you know, since the collective of us are still going along with this stuff that's been slapped on us, even though we should wake up and see that they change our name up every 20 years. I mean, why the hell, excuse me, why are they calling us Negroes? And then they're calling us colored. And then they're calling us black. Now we're African-American. You know, why is that going on? Why does our right to vote have to be renewed every 20 years? It's ridiculous, right? It's asinine. None of us should be going along with this. So that the Prophet Noble Drew Ali came, he was born in 1886 in North Carolina. And he started this movement around 1913. Okay. And, you know, he just built it up to the point where they had their own economy. It was growing at a rapid pace. All right. He established a society. He incorporated a religious society in Cook County in Illinois. And the way that it was set up under Hurd's revised statute, through the law, he set up a body politic. All right. And a body politic is a nation that's capable of governing itself. So he established a society for us, gave us laws, you know, with our own constitution, our own holy book, the Holy Koran, and all of these things, which did what? They made us civilized people again. And it just so happens that a portion of our religion, our society, is relinking back to our ancient ancestry, coming in, relinking, learning what that means again, correcting yourself spiritually and mentally, physically, you know, and then correcting our situation, our earthly situation, you know, taking care of our, you know, economic plight and these other things. So that's a big, huge portion of it, right? Correcting this situation. And so you have the society now where you can come in, get relinked back into the family of humans, and you just so happen to descend from the creators of civilization. And also by relinking to this, that ties you back into your true estate to the land, to the entire Americas, which all of this stuff is built off of. And it can't be hidden. The White House, the seat of power, is right there, like letting you know that it's built off of us, because the White House is the capital of Morocco, Casablanca. That's what Casablanca is in Spanish. And all the symbols, everything that you see, all the pyramids, the obelisks, you know, like the Washington Monument, whatever they call it. This is a big obelisk in front of a body of water, just like we do everywhere in the world. They found those same things that you'll see in Egypt. They found those over here in Central America, and the pyramids and everything. I mean, even that pyramid that's on the back of the $1 bill, they found that here in Ecuador, right? And it glows under a black light, and it has 13 steps on it, and the Eye of Providence, or the Eye of Horus at the top in the capstone, just like the one on the dollar. So they can't deny who we are. So he actually established the society for us to come in and get relinked back to that so that we can correct this situation. So this is very important. And so one of the things that we're advising everyone to do, you know, is to move as a unit. Do not put black, okay? And then just to wrap this up really quickly, so you understand that it's the only one on there that's not an original people. So now you know why, if you didn't know before. This is not an accident. It's done on purpose. I mean, it just makes no sense. Why is it black racial groups? Why couldn't they put the black original people? Like, come on, man. So that's just obvious. So nobody put black. All right. And even if you are Hispanic, put no, because saying that you're Hispanic means that you are still up under the Pope. It means that you are of Spanish Christian culture. When these people, you know, like the people of Dominican Republic, Cuba, Puerto Rico, majority of them, a lot of them probably darker skinned than you know, people who's on this call, you know? And so no, you put no, because these are Asiatic, these are Moorish people. And so everyone put no to that. And then we advise people to check the box that says some other race and write in who you are, Asiatic Moorish. This is within the within their hierarchical race codes, right? They have this set up so that Asiatic Moorish ties you back into the ancient Moabites, the ancient Moors. Okay. And also if you're like most of us, you have this oral history of being indigenous to the Americas, click American Indian, write in more. They have that down here too as well, as being from the different various tribes here in North America. Okay? So you just do those two things, and that ties you back in as an ancient Moor or Moorish American. Okay? And also on the census, when you write your name, put your El or Bay on it. Even if you haven't corrected your name, like in the court system, don't worry about that. Do it. Okay? Because this is all voluntary, and this is all about how you identify. There's some people on here who are men who are going to check female for their gender because they identify as a woman. Okay? Like, seriously. You know, it's how you identify. Okay? And so it's very important that we self-identify, and then doing this as a collective too. We have the leadership, we have our own government where we can follow up on this and we can move as a unit. There is something that I wanted to share with y'all about that. Let me see if I can find it. I can share this real quickly. Let me see. Okay. Yeah, I have actually I'm looking for this article, but I was just gonna share it with you really quickly to show you just one of the benefits of doing this. But while I look for that, I can show you something else. Just showing you mine, because our census form just came the other day. We filled it out. It's real simple. Number of people, just like everyone else, but then when you get down here, I put my L on there, and then just showing you did the same thing that we told you to do on there. American Indian, write in more. They know what that means. Then some other race, Asiatic Moorish. And no, everybody put no to Hispanic, right? Same thing for everybody in the household. Okay? All right. So we advise everyone to do that. And I'm still looking for this link. But basically, yeah, I wanted to show you this article from New York Daily News. It's talking about the Hasidic Jews and showing you how they move. It's also tied into the census, but just showing you how they move as a collective. And I wanted to speak on this because this is what we have, and this is something that we can implement to benefit ourselves. So hang on. All right. So yeah, this article is just talking about this Hasidic Jews in Williamsburg. Okay. And so like, all right, so this neighborhood, like Williamsburg, it's majority Hasidic Jews, okay? And they look out for each other. They move as a unit. So it's not even about all Jews, like all the so-called white people or Europeans that consider themselves Jews. It's not even about all them. It's about the Hasidic Jews. They're the ones that you'll see with the little side locks wearing yarmulkes. They're like the ones that take their religion seriously, right? So they're only looking out for each other. And what they do is they get like whole buildings, and buildings like the one that you see on the screen, like the rent in places like this is going to be like thousands and thousands of dollars every month, right? Like, probably no less than $3,000-4,000 a month. But they keep them open for their own people. And there'll be like people in there living on Section 8 where like the most they can get, the most that they can pay in rent is $800 a month. And they'll keep it open for them, specifically for putting their own people in there that's on Section 8, right? Because they're looking out for all Hasidic Jews, whether they're working class, poor, well-off, whatever. And they work as a unit. And so like when they do things like the census, They're not gonna, you know, do like every man for himself. Like, you know, you might have some people that want to put, oh, I'm mixed, I'm black, I'm white, I'm this, I'm that. You know, everybody just doing their own thing. People writing their own stuff. No, they move as a unit, right? Like we saw this. We used to live in Miami Beach. There was a bunch of Hasidic Jews there. They had their own schools. They had their own Torah schools just for going and learning the Torah, because, you know, that's why a lot of them in New York are on Section 8, because, like, they're just about their religious studies. And so they're not, like, working jobs getting paid a lot of money. And some of them are, but this is but they're looking out for each other. And so, like, we will see them like that in Miami, too, where they have their stuff. They're moving as a unit together. So that they're like, hey, okay, we're all going to do this on a census, and we're going to put this. Okay, they're all going to do it. Why? Because they're going to go back and they're going to form committees that are then going to go and get whatever monies, federal monies, have been set aside for those people. Because they're taking the amounts of people that are like, okay, we had this many Vietnamese here, we got this many that. So they go back and they get that. You know, they form committees to go back and to follow up on it and to get access to the resources. And then that's how they're able to do stuff like this. Like they also, a lot of them are getting over on the Section 8 program too, you know, and they're getting over, like they're going and they're like getting all of these, because they'll have like Section 8 probably like every 2 or 3 years or something there. And there's all these lines of people lined up. They have a committee so they can get on there first and they can put a bunch of their own people in on it. And then they might be renting them out. Ain't no telling what they're doing with it, but they get it. And they don't go to jail. They don't get in trouble for it because they're playing the game at a higher level where they're negotiating with the legislators and, you know, moving as a unit. Okay. And this is, so aside from the whole Section 8 part of it, that's what the prophet created. Something where we move as a unit, where we work together as a community, looking out for ourselves, looking out for each other. All right. And so, you know, it's not just every man for himself. It's like I was showing you the census. So like we're all doing the same thing. And then we're working to work that to our benefit together as a collective. So it's not just everybody doing whatever. We're not savages out here, you know, even though that's the song, right? We're not moving like savages. Okay. Because that's how they take advantage of us. Because as long as we're Black and African-American, as far as the law is concerned, we're savages. We're undesirables. Okay, you're stateless and you're an undesirable. And as a stateless, undesirable, you are subject to whatever abuses the people want to heap upon you. If they're benevolent and they want to help the poor Negro, let's treat them fairly, they'll treat you fairly. If they don't care, they're going to gun you down while you're jogging down the street, right? And they're not even going to get charged with it. Like they didn't even charge those, these two dudes that shot the brother that was jogging. Okay. So we can't, you know, move like that anymore. All right. And, you know, there's plenty of Black groups, you know, are people that's unified and trying to do stuff. And they've have like a glass ceiling. They can only get so far because you are still working under their creation, under the label that they created for, you know, abusing you, right? So if you have an NAACP, whatever it is, NCAA, whatever it is, it's stupid because it's the National Association for the Advancement of Colored People. It doesn't even sound right now because that's an outdated term because they got to change our nickname every 20, 25 years, right? So it's outdated. It shouldn't even be the NAACP anymore. It should be the NAAAP, right? African American peoples. You know, it's outdated because they you see the game, they got to change our names out. It's stupid, right? And so there's not, you can only go so far under that label. You can't get that far. Like, yeah, you can't call anybody colored anymore. It's offensive now, right? Okay, because that got played out. And like, believe it or not, African American is gonna get played out too, just like Black is. It's gonna be played out. Nobody's gonna be going along with that. So they gotta stay ahead of the game. And so you know, it's time to move as a unit, it's time to be more. And by being more, You need to come into the society, proclaim your nationality, and move as a unit together. And that's what we do. We do the spiritual teachings because ultimately we're supposed to rule from the higher self. We have to realize what that means. Why? Because they got Beyonce telling us we savage and Megan Thee Stallion. And I'm not just trying to pick on them because the dudes ain't no better. You got Lil Baby, right? You got rappers named Lil Baby. He's old, but he calling himself Lil Baby. You know, so he got all this savagery trying to keep us in that savage lower self mind state. And then we're wondering why we're suffering. Okay, they are gods. You know, they're not my God. And they're not your God. Hopefully, you know, you proclaim your nationality, you know who you are, but like collectively, they are gods. They're ruling over us, and there's nothing you can do about it. It's that unless you step outside of that. The actual remedy is so simple that people wouldn't believe it. Not saying that we don't still have to work and build our society up, but you just got to step out, right? Because there's even some of them within their society who would like to help us, but they can't. They can't tell you who you are. Most of them can't tell you who you are because they don't know. They think you're Black. This is what they've been taught too. And then there's some of them who do know, and they can't tell you. I know this just from having my national headdress on, my fez. The brother Jackson Bate is in here. He was there with us too, just speaking to some old European dude who was a Shriner for like 30 years. And, you know, he's just like, you need to wake your people up. You need to let them know. He's having an open conversation with me because I'm already in the know, but he can't tell that to a regular African-American. And then also on other occasions too, being out and seeing how they interact with me when I'm in my proper status as a Moor. Okay. It's a whole different ball game. Okay. And so not saying we're looking for handouts of help, but those who do want to assist can now properly do it. Because we're not doing it as your slave, as your underling, right? Okay, so yeah, that's really important. So if anybody wants to proclaim your nationality, let us know. We can get you started, okay? Everybody should be ready to do this though. If you're not ready, I'm not trying to down anybody, but I don't understand. So everybody should be ready to proclaim your nationality. And I understand we all wake up in different stages, so I'm not trying to down anyone, but it's time, okay? It really is time. And that's why they're pushing the savage message right now, because they know we are waking up right now. And it's so desperate. They're like, please, please, Beyonce, sing this song. Tell them they savage. Get out there and twerk something, do something. Keep them stupid. Keep them deaf, dumb, and blind. It's time. This is why we're going to see even more crazy things happening. Okay, if you're paying attention and you think all this is crazy, it's going to get even crazier. This is it. This is it, Morris. Okay, so on that note, I'm going to go ahead and close out. Does anybody have any questions or anything they want to ask? Anything they wanted to add? Feel free to speak up. Okay. All right, good. So, yeah, everyone that gave their email, we'll send you a registration so that you can actually join. We'll send you the information on the census too, so that you can fill that out properly. And you can just print it out. We'll put the mailing address on there too, so that you can mail it in and get started. And we're gonna go ahead and go into the closing of the meeting. All right. Excuse me, Brother Jackson Bay, if you may, please read the additional bylaws.
Islam, praise Allah. Additional laws for the Moorish Americans by the Prophet Noble Jew Ali. Act 1. Grand sheiks and governors and heads of all temples, all businesses. Each said temple must be approved by the Prophet Noble Jew Ali. Before acting upon by any member, let it be finance, property, or any line of life that will cause the member to sacrifice finance, etc., that will cause the support of any group of members. Any former officer that violates these laws is subject to be removed from his office under heavy restrictions, etc., by the Prophet or the Grand Sheikh. Act 2. All members are to attend their added meetings and their public meetings promptly. If a member is found standing around on their meeting period, shall be fined 50 cents on the first case, and on the second will be fined $1, which will go on your emergency fund. If a member is working, his monthly dues must be paid, and if he has money in the bank, he must subscribe for as much as he is able to the Moorish Uplifting Fund, because it takes finance to uplift the nation. Act 3, it is the lawful and divine duty of every good member, if he is able to finance, to aid me in saving the nation. And if he does not, he is an enemy to the cause of uplifting his own people, and justice must catch you. Let it be he or she according to love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice, as I have the power invested in my hand, and I have to enforce the law in order to save the nation. Act 4, all members, while up making a public speech, must not use any assertion against the American flag or speak radically against the church or any members of any organized group, because we are to teach love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. Act 5, all members must promptly attend their meetings and send their children to Sunday school, and the teacher must confirm himself to the questionnaire, and let every member exercise his 5 senses who is able to do so, because out of your Sunday school comes the guidance of the nation. Act 6, with us, all members must proclaim their nationality, and we are teaching our people their nationality and their divine creed, that they may know that they are part and parcel of this said government, and know that they are not Negroes, colored folks, black people, or Ethiopians, because these names were given to slaves by slaveholders in 1779 and lasted until 1865, during the time of slavery. But this is a new era of time now, and all men now must proclaim their free national name to be recognized by the government in which they live and the nations of the earth. This is the reason why Allah, the great God of the universe, ordained Noble Jew Ali, the prophet, to redeem his people from their sinful ways. The Moorish Americans are the descendants of the ancient Moabites who inhabited the northwestern and southwestern shores of Africa. Act 7, all members must promptly attend their meetings and become part and parcel of all uplifting acts of the Moorish Science Temple of America. Members must pay their dues and keep in line with all necessities of the Moorish Science Temple of America. Then you are entitled to the name of faithful. Husband, you must support your wife and children. Wife, you must obey your husband and take care of your children and look after the duties of your household. Sons and daughters must obey father and mother and be industrious and become part of the uplifting of fallen humanity. All Moorish Americans must keep their hearts and minds pure with love and their bodies clean with water. This divine covenant is from your holy prophet, Noble Jew Ali, through the guidance of his father God Allah. Islam, Islam, Islamism.
All right, Islamism. Thank you, brother. Brother Kolbe, can you please read the writ to the prophet?
Islam. I'd like to give honors to great Allah. I'd like to give honors to our prophet, Noble Jew Ali. I'd like to give prophet to all the Moors on this line and all the Moors all across the world on this holy day. To be proclaimed at every meeting. Islam. I am glad to know I have a few faithful Moors among you all, and I desire for them to know the truth and the divine truth. There is a host of jealousy about me and the movement now by the same people of our side of the nation that claim I was a joke and unreal. But since they have found out from the government officials and the nations of the earth that this is the only sole foundation that all Asiatics must depend upon for their earthly salvation as American citizens, they are working every scheme they can to disqualify me so they can take charge of the situation. I have notified all these things to you long ago in the past. It is through the faithful Moors that attribute to the movement and uplifting funds, the ones that pay their divine respects to me and the movement will be remembered. That is why I'm calling upon all faithful Moors to increase their faithfulness to me, your prophet, and your divine Moorish movement. I need finance, and I need it badly. Never before have I needed finances so badly as I do at present, so I can shove aside the discord that is facing the nation. It all comes through jealousy because of my fame and nobility. The nation of the world will not recognize the movement without I, the prophet, being head. It has been proven by my works, which I have performed in the past few years. Prophet, Noble Jew Ali. To the members of the Moorish Science Temple of America, Islam. This is the instructions from your prophet, Noble Drew Ali. Be faithful unto your forefather divine and national creed, that you will be blessed for your good deeds that you sow in the flesh. Allah is the one that judges the world, and his judgment is on now, but the weak can comprehend it not. The end of times is drawing near, so says Allah to his divine prophet, I, Noble Drew Ali, and that is why many hearts have turned to the stone. Many have eyes to see but cannot see, ears to hear but cannot hear, lest they would be confined to their sins. These are the trying hours now, my dear Moors. Every evil spirit is moving, and they are trying every weak mind to overthrow and drag out the true foundation that has been laid and to cause confusion to the minds of the ones that do believe. But if you have the true love of Allah and the spirit of your forefathers, you fear not what you hear or see, but will sacrifice the utmost of your very life to protect your movement and your prophet. Watch your enemies, dear Moors. Your enemies are the ones that speak against your prophet and ridicule him to the very lowest, and the ones that speak against your divine and national principles and your temple. Act accordingly, and Allah will bless you for your good works. Peace. Your divine prophet, Noble Drew Ali. Prophet warns all Muslims to be read in every meeting. I hereby inform all members that they must end all radical speeches while at work and in their homes and on the streets. We are for peace and not destruction. Stop flashing your cards at Europeans. It causes confusion. Remember, your card is for your salvation. Failure to obey these orders will be of severe consequence. We are for love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. And when these principles are violated, justice must then take its course. Any member or members who hold malicious feelings towards the temple or prophet or violate the divine covenant of the Moorish movement will receive their rewards from Allah for their unjust deeds. All true Moors will and must obey the law as laid down to them by their prophet. If they lose confidence in their prophet, they should turn in their card and button, cease wearing their turban and fez, and return to the state where I, the prophet, found you. This is a holy and divine movement founded by the prophet Noble Drew Ali, and if the prophet is not right, the temple is not right. The prophet, therefore, is sending out the divine plea to all Moorish Americans that they do their part in protecting their prophet and the temple. This is an everlasting movement founded by the prophet through the will of Allah to redeem his people from their sinful ways. Peace. Noble Drew Ali. Islam, 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 Ism.
Islamism. All right. Thank you, brother. I appreciate you. So we're going to go ahead and close out. Before we close out, just make sure, does anybody have anything they wanted to say? All right. Okay, so we're going to close so everybody can go on and break fast. All meetings are to be open and closed promptly according to the Circle 7 in love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. Please rise and face the east. You do not need to repeat after me. We ask that everybody stands up straight, your feet at a 45-degree angle. That means your heels are together like a V shape. Your arms perpendicular. Raise up 2 fingers on the right, 5 on the left. Allah. Bind our hearts and minds back to our ancient forefathers, divine creed and principles. We ask this in thy holy name in the 7 Elohim. Amen. All right. Peace and love. Thank you, everybody, for joining. We do this every Friday and Sunday at 7 p.m.
Happy Holy Day. Peace and love.
Islamism, peace and love, everybody. Happy Holy Day.
Peace and love.
3 dates and some water.
Islam.